I'm talking with Kevin and Houston, who are in Condobolin, and I'm going to ask them first up. What are you doing there, guys?
So we're on our Indigenous health placement, which is a 4-week placement for us. We're doing the rural program at the moment. So yeah, it's 4 weeks as opposed to 5 weeks, but yeah, nonetheless, it's still an Indigenous health placement. Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell me what sort of things are you doing on placement?
So the Indigenous, we're basically at an Indigenous, like Aboriginal health service in Condobolin. So it's basically just the GP practice, but it's sort of like a GP practice, but I guess it's more targeted towards the large Indigenous population. So we're sitting in with GPs, but there's also a lot of other people who come to the service, like allied health specialists and stuff. And they also do a lot of like community outreach kind of stuff in the community. So with school kids, with men, with mums and cooking and stuff. So we've been participating in that.
And what other, you mentioned allied health service providers, what sort of services are they coming from?
So there's a physio who comes every week here in Australia, which comes every 2 weeks. There's also dentistry, a dietitian who comes every 2 weeks. Yeah, quite a few services actually. Yeah.
And so what's your role there? Are you observing? Are you doing a little more involved things?
So for the most part with the GP, we're just observing. For some of the things we've got hands-on, so for example, the endocrinologist who visits monthly, she wasn't able to come because of COVID. So we actually ran the consult with her on the phone. And so we did all the physical exam and typed up all the notes. So that was good to do. And for some of the community stuff, we've gotten involved. And for your Aboriginal health placement, you have to do like a little community project to, I guess, try and solve an issue that's in the community. So we've focused ours on diet and exercise. So we've sort of done a little bit of education and asked them some questions and tried to see, what we can help with.
Terrific. And what sort of questions are in that questionnaire that you're delivering?
Yeah, so we've been asking like, what do you have for breakfast, lunch and dinner? Get an idea as to what their diet is like. And also asking specific questions related to condo and what you'd buy. Like, would you buy the food from the local service station, which is a common like outlet for like fast food, like fried chicken? Do they buy it from the bakery, the canteen, etc.? As well as getting an idea as to their exercise habits, how often they exercise, what they do, what stops them from exercising.
And how's that been received by the people you've asked those questions?
So we just did it today, actually. The kids, they're kids. They're classic high school boys. Probably, we've noticed in Condo, the attention span's probably even a bit shorter than usual. But yeah, I think every time the message is repeated, it goes in a bit more. They did fill out the surveys for us, which was good of them. There's some interesting stuff, I guess. A lot of them don't have breakfast, might not have lunch, or might just get it from the servo. Might snack a lot in between because they're hungry, that kind of thing. Yeah, sugary drinks and everything.
What will you do with that information that you're collecting?
So that's all sort of part of the results that we'll look at for the project. And we'll have a look across like the mums and the kids and the diet and exercise, come up to some conclusions and also come up with some suggestions as to how these things might be improved in a local area such as this.
How far through your placement are you?
So this is our second last week. So this is our third week of 4. So we still have one more week after this. So yeah.
And what was the trip like to Condo?
So we took like a longer route than what we could have, I guess.
Was that on purpose?
It wasn't. I think when we were going on Google Maps, it just ended up selecting that for whatever reason. It took maybe like 20 minutes longer, but you know, it was good. We saw a lot of like back roads, a lot of just really widespread paddocks and plains. It was all quite flat and quite empty as well, and very different landscape to what we'd seen even in Bathurst. Heading up, quite fun.
How did the reality compare to what you're expecting to see as you drove there?
Oh, I don't know why I was expecting it, but I was sort of expecting like a dust bowl, because that's like outback Australia. But no, it was really lush. A lot of animals. The roads were pretty decent. For the most part, paved. Yeah, you can easily do them on a sedan. There's lots of like nice canola fields. They're really yellow, just like sheets of yellow, bright yellow. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a good drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereabouts are you staying?
So we're staying at essentially the back of a dental clinic that's located 100 meters from our place. It's really close. And it has 4 or 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a really good living room with a fireplace and all that. A great kitchen, pretty much has all you need. Yeah.
Terrific. And you're just over halfway through. In terms of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, is it what you're expecting?
Oh, yeah. I'd say the medical stuff it's pretty much just what you'd see in Bathurst, but I guess one of the things that is a bit different maybe is the doctors are locum doctors, so they only come for 2 weeks before leaving. So usually they're seeing patients for the first time. I guess they have to do much the same thing that a GP would do usually, but there's not that kind of knowing the patient beforehand. It's a bit more challenging to do good care. It's still very good care, and they're very good doctors, but yeah, it's a bit that's a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of specialty stuff that's happening. I guess I wasn't expecting so many specialists to be visiting the centre.
That's right.
Okay.
There's like a really pro cardiologist from St. Vincent's who's been coming here every month for like 15 years. So yeah, it was good to see that kind of stuff's coming out rural. But yeah, I guess the medicine's pretty much what we were expecting.
And the rest of your stay, do you anticipate more of what you've been experiencing, or is there anything different coming up?
I think roughly it'll be about the same, just according to the schedule. So we still have like, you know, the GP sitting in, and also with the specialists and like the social and emotional well-being stuff that we do every week. So it's roughly about the same, except there's a little bit more sort of continuity. We get to see some of the high school students again. And that's a bit different.
And what's Condo like?
It's a really nice town. Yeah, it's small, but it pretty much has everything that you'd need. There's like 2 supermarkets. There's only a handful of places to get food apart from the servo. So there's the bakery, there's the railway hotel, which is the best food in town, apparently. There's a little Chinese restaurant, and he actually came and saw us in the centre, so that was nice. But yeah, it's pretty good. There's a gym. It's a really good gym actually. It's run by like a young personal trainer. He's linked up with the like ab health people, and we have a little exercise group running for patients. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
There's a lot of, like, great overall. Yeah, it's very livable. You've got everything you need. Only, I guess, issue is that it's a little bit distant from any major town. So you'd have to travel at least an hour to get to like Forbes or Parks, where you can get stuff, I guess, that you might need.
Yeah, it's interesting in the bush, 100 kilometres is nothing, whereas if you're in a metro area, 100 kilometres it seems a lot further.
Exactly.
Hour drive, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So did you do anything special to prepare for the trip? Because, I mean, you came from Bathurst, which is a regional centre, but quite different to Condo. Is there anything in particular that you packed or that you wish you'd packed?
So we sort of packed our whole house worth of things. So,
Right.
you know, bedding, clothes, kitchen stuff, etc. And the thing is, like, the house is already so well resourced that we didn't have to bring a lot of our kitchenware nor a lot of our bedding either. So I think we might have wished to pack less, actually. Rather than,
yeah, we didn't get like a packing list or anything, so we just brought everything. But basically, you don't need to bring anything. There's food. It's a bit more expensive, but it's nothing egregious or anything. So it's nothing particular.
And Kevin, what tips would you give to students who are heading out somewhere like Condo before they come?
So it'll be a really good placement. I don't think you have to be too apprehensive of it. It's a great town. The Aboriginal Medical Centre is great. You learn a lot, not even just about Indigenous health, but also about a whole wide range of specialties. And that was actually something I wasn't expecting at all. Like, there's cardiology, endocrinology, hearing, etc. And it's just a good experience. Like, it's far removed from any major town, and that's nice. You get an experience of what it's like to really live out.
Terrific. And what about you, Houston? Any other tips for students?
Yeah, much the same, I guess. Yeah, I have decent expectations. It'll be a good time. It is a bit self-directed, I guess. You can sort of pick and choose how much you sit in on and who you sit in with and what you participate in. Definitely do as much as you can, I guess. It sounds like a lot of the fifth years who used to come to the placement, because we're in fourth year, it used to be like 50 years who just were about to have their barrier exams. So they obviously study a bit more at that point. But because we have more time, we've been able to get involved in some of the community stuff. I think that's been really great.
And what sort of community stuff is that?
So like the boys group, like playing with them after school, I guess. There's mom's cooking. There's men's shed. You just hang out with some men around the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, and education. Yeah, about healthy eating and exercise.
Yeah, the gym workout. It's a pretty good workout.
Session as well. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. It sounds like you're not just learning about the academic side of things, but you're learning about the whole rural community and rural culture and Indigenous culture that you find in rural Australia. Any last words for students thinking about their AMS, preparing for it?
It'll be very good. I think you'll learn a lot and see a lot. You get really involved with the community, and that's really does broaden your experience quite a bit. Yeah.
And it's not that out there. There's internet. You can always get back to that. There's So don't be like nervous or anything. The community is super welcoming. Everyone's super nice. Like everyone at the centre, the nurses, one of them's going to take us out to her farm or something this weekend. It's great. Yeah.
Wonderful. That sounds like you're really making the most of it and doing all the things that the placement's intended for.